is amazing! 3 Gatling guns. I want to... What? Are you serious? Biplanes again? Ugh. There were jets. Whatever. Here we go. Get this one. Oh! Oh no! Oh man! Oh no! Sorry, Epic Coda Hun. Oh no. Oh my lord. Yeah. What is going on here? Oh, War Thunder. When will you fix the replay system? Oh well. Off to the next game. Okay. You got me. This is the real F-4 Phantom. Howdy, folks. Sauber here. Welcome back to the channel. This is amazing. I still can't believe, we now have the McDonnell Douglas F-4c Phantom 2 in the game. And, great news! If I set it to without load, we get the gun pod by default, the center one that is. And you can get 2 more for a total of 3 gun pods. That's right, 3 M61 Vulcan cannons with a combined fire rate of, oh my goodness, 18,000 rounds a minute. Oh my goodness, or 300 rounds a second. That's crazy. I mean, with just one cannon, it's 6,000 rounds a minute or 100 rounds per second, but this is absolutely amazing. And then aside from that, we also have an assortment of bombs, rockets, and of course the AIM-9B Sidewinders. Now, this is the dev server, so things are subject to change, so I'm really curious as to why it's only AIM-9Bs when AIM-9Es surely would have been available by then, if not later versions of the AIM-9 Sidewinder. I'm not all that familiar with the history of the Sidewinder in terms of its variants, but surely there were later models available other than the B model. But then, of course, there's also the Mighty Mouse rockets, 200 plus. I didn't look at the exact number, but that is crazy. And, oh, yeah. And then going to the MiG-23 real quick. Oh, man. When I first saw the dev blog for the MiG-21, I was like, wow, I'm definitely going to buy this. But then I was like, you know, it only has the one cannon, which is a huge disadvantage. So I should probably wait and see what other one comes along. Then I see the Phantoms dev blog, and I'm like, oh, yeah, snap. I'm definitely getting the Phantom first. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll definitely get the MiG-23 in the why do I keep saying MiG-23? I said that in my last video. Good grief. The MiG-21 in the sometime in the future. Good grief. Now, unfortunately, I apologize in advance. I didn't get any flying or test flight footage of the MiG-21. I didn't have time, and I'll be honest, I forgot. But I promise that if there's a next dev server, I will at least showcase it in a test flight. But all in all, I'm really curious how it's going to perform toe-to-toe with the Phantom on the live server. Because as you know, results from the dev server are subject to change. You know, you're playing mostly against bots. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, also, we're getting a new nation in-game, China, which I'll get into more detail in a moment. But for now, the Chinese MiG-21, the J-72, has an extra cannon. I'm really curious as to why they couldn't put another 30 mil on the MiG-21, or at least replace it with the 23mm cannon earlier, as they did with later models. But yeah, this is just crazy. And of course, the Phantom has, or actually, I just realized the Phantom's engine, it doesn't tell you its thrust output. I guess maybe they haven't implemented that yet, but I'm sure it's more powerful than the MiG-21. But, and I also noticed that they had a model X-ray for the cannon armament, at least for the gun pods. I'm not sure if that's the case with other aircraft or just the F-4 Phantom. But yeah, this is awesome. Without further ado, let's get into the cockpit. So, I think this is the battle where we actually, for once, played against jet bots. Because so many people were wanting to try the Phantom, including myself, that in like the 20 plus games that I played, okay, that's a little exaggeration, 10 games plus, I hardly found any players on the Russian team, especially those in the MiG-21. I found players in the MiG-17, the MiG-19, the Xinyang F-5, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, basically the Chinese MiG-17. I'm not sure if it was produced in North Korea because there's the J2 or J4? I think it's the J4 that's in game, that's the Chinese version of the MiG-17, so I'm not sure what the F-5 is about. Let me know in the comments below if you know what the difference is between the Xinyang F-5 and the J4. But, yeah. And then, briefly highlighting on China, China's going to be an interesting nation in-game because, I will be honest, I don't know too much about the history of China during World War II. I know some of the basics, like the Flying Tigers, them defending themselves against the invasion of... Good lord. The invasion from Japan. Sorry if I said that weird. I'm still a little tired from this morning. Anyway, so basically, there's lots of vehicles from different nations. It's basically a Franken-Civ, if you've played Civilization 5 and played with the Franken-Civ mod, where you basically get the best unique unit from all the civilizations in game. Crazy stuff like that, because you have air vehicles from the United States, Great Britain, Russia, Japan, even Germany. Crazy stuff like that. And then, of course, for the ground forces, you have mostly American and Russian vehicles. You don't really get into domestic Chinese vehicles until post-war, like Cold War, like the Type 69, the Type 61. Type 61? Good lord, I can't remember all their names. So many vehicles with the type designation. But you get the idea. Vehicles from various other nations. So if you basically want to play as the United States, Britain, Russia, Japan, and Germany, you play China. I'm really looking forward to at least checking out the air vehicles to see what unique lineups I can make with them. Ground units too, but mostly the air vehicles for obvious reasons. So now let's get back to the F-4 Phantom. Now I will be honest, I really would have thought we would have been, call me stupid if you want, doing Mach 2 on the deck. I was like, yeah, how is this gonna be balanced exactly? Well, then I found out that it's only, along with the MiG-21, able to do Mach 1 only in rough air. That is, low altitude. Now, at higher altitudes, yeah, you can get up to Mach 2. I don't have footage of it, but at one point I was taking the Phantom up to 35,000 feet, or I think 11 kilometers, and it took me about, I think, 10 minutes. No, maybe not 10 minutes, maybe 7 minutes to get from like Mach 1 to Mach 2. It took a while, but I was able to get to Mach 2, but only at high altitudes. And in real life, I'm not sure if that would be the combat altitude or not, but in War Thunder, I found out, yeah, that's not the case. You're mostly going to be spending your time down low on the deck, fighting other subsonic aircraft. And as I noted in some, noticed in some custom battles, I now know why the MiG-17 was a threat to the advanced F-4 Phantom, which was a full generation ahead of the MiG-17. The answer was really simple. When you're at low altitude, sure, you could do Mach 1, but you're also subsonic to at certain points. And since, although we don't have the MiG-17F in game with an afterburner, the standard MiG-17 is able to keep up with you if you don't use your afterburner and keep your speed up. And I was even shot down by a MiG-17 in a custom battle, so I was like, yeah, makes a lot of sense. So now I can understand how these jets could be balanced in the current meta. Now, I take that with a grain of salt. When I say balance, I don't mean 100%. I mean just enough to where it's tolerable. I mean, I'll be honest. As a player that's played War Thunder for almost 7 years, I know, right? Can you believe War Thunder is almost 7 years old? It'll be 7 years old in November of this year, 2019. That's amazing. And I'll get into in a moment why I think War Thunder's been able to last as long as it has, despite its ups and downs. It's just been an amazing ride, but I gotta get back on track of the Phantom because otherwise I'm just gonna confuse myself. Well, it's the Phantom and Mach 2 jets in general. So, I'm just amazed that as fast as they are on the deck, if you're not careful, you can still be caught by a MiG-19 or an F-100, but... And as you notice there, the dev server was really laggy, more than what I'm accustomed to. Like, there were a number of times where I would just indiscriminately be lagged into the ground or into a mountain. Feels bad, man. Oh yeah, and in this battle, I believe, as you'll soon see, we ended up having to fight biplanes. I'm like, come on. If you're gonna have AI aircraft fighting you, at least put it at a similar BR to ours. Because when I saw the biplanes for the first time, and I think this was the first battle where I encountered them, I was like, what the heck is this? Fighting biplanes? Why am I not fighting jets? So that ended up being a ridiculously quick match. And as you saw in the intro, it got so crazy to where I accidentally team killed another Phantom whilst trying to get I-15 BIS. Which, needless to say, I ended up crashing into the I-15. Ay, ay, ay. But all in all, I'm really curious how these jets, these Mach 2 jets, will go toe-to-toe with each other. Now, at the time of the making of this video, that is, after the dev server, I recorded the dev server on Saturday, and I'm recording the narration on Wednesday. I hope to have this up either by today or tomorrow, which will be a Thursday. But I don't know if there will be other Mach 2 jets. It might be just the F-4 Phantom, the MiG-21, and the J-7. But I'm really curious how they will perform against other Mach 1 aircraft. Because as I mentioned before, dev server subject to change, blah blah blah. But the Phantom was 9.7. And I'm really curious if that'll warrant its BR in the live server. But, of course, there's only one way to find out. It's like how at first I was concerned about how the F-100 Super Sabre would perform against the MiG-19, because the MiG-19 was so much faster than that, and then it turns out, yeah, the F-100, it turns well despite losing a bit of speed. You have a ton of ammo from those four the four 20mm cannons, whereas the MiG-19 only has the two 30mm with 70 rounds each. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, the MiG-19 turned out to be a decent aircraft. You just had to have the right skill set to fly it. And they went toe-to-toe nicely. So I'm really curious how the Phantom will perform against the MiG-21 and the MiG-19 and just other Mach 1 jets in general. There's only one way to find out. So, next thing I want to talk about is the new cargo map. I have to admit, and you'll see the footage come up in a moment, I briefly test out that map in a custom battle with my M1 Abrams tank, and I will be honest, it could be a little larger. But maybe when the live server hits, there will be a larger version available, because I don't know why. And I've even inquired about this via a bug report, but I don't remember what the result was from it. But basically, whenever you play a custom battle version of a map, with a few exceptions, such as Fields of Poland or, not Fields of Normandy, what's it called? European Providence, you get the smaller version of that map, even if you set it to realistic battle settings. I just don't know why. Because if you play some maps in a realistic battle, yeah, you get the full version of the map. A large version of the map. And to deviate a little, I'm not sure what to think about these new sounds, at least for the machine guns and cannons on tanks. They kind of sound a little weird. But the ones for aircraft, such as props and jets, Huda lolly, this is going to be amazing how they sound. It's almost going to make sound mods obsolete. No pun intended. Oh yeah, and I'll get to that in a moment, but there's been a lot of talk about the easy anti-cheat, which I will get to in a moment. But first and foremost, the cargo map. During my brief gameplay while playing on the cargo map, it did remind me of that one desert port map from Armored Warfare. I forgot what it was called, and I think you either fought against the PLA or, what were they called? The Lions of Nequil, assuming I said that right. One of those two factions. But I remember how cool that map was, especially playing the M1A1 Abrams when I bought it. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. It's like Desert Storm. Until you then started seeing M48s and T62s. It was like, okay, this is awkward. Armored Warfare was so weird in those days. It's still weird since the last time I tried it. I really hope it will improve one of these days, because I wouldn't mind playing it from time to time or making a few videos on it, especially since it helped bring my channel back to life, so to speak, for however brief a time. I think it was only like 4 videos I had made. I had 2 more videos planned. I think I even had footage of them, but they were without Zero, and then, because that's when he became inactive, and no, excuse me, that's when he started getting back into War Thunder, then I got back into War Thunder. Long story short, the Armored Warfare videos afterwards, the 5th and 6th ones, never happened. But yeah. But all in all, I really do like the cargo map, cargo port map. I already forgot what it was officially called. I really think it has a lot of potential, especially with the nearby landing strip. You can actually land there, as you'll soon see later in the video. But all in all, I do like the cargo map. I think it's going to be a good success, unlike... I mean, don't get me wrong, I did like Alaska, but it is a little small for my liking. But the cargo map I'm projecting will be like another Advance to the Rhine, which I do like those sort of maps because I think it involves more skill and timing, like going down the right paths. Like, there was one occasion I was in my M1A1 Abrams, and I'm racing through this smoke cloud. I'm like, oh boy, what am I thinking? And then I ram head on with the T-80U at full speed. And then it said that I critically damaged him and I got his driver. So he couldn't move and he shot, but I think he hit a strong point on my tank, so it didn't pierce through. But then I was able to get another shot through his driver port, get his cannon breach, and then when his driver came back, I was able to get his driver and ignite his ammo as well. So that was a ton of fun. I really like close quarters maps because I think it balances the tanks much better than on open range maps. But as you can see here, I'm able to land the F-4 on this nice little airfield, and I'm really curious as to why the scenery planes have low D meshes when you're in a plane, but high resolution meshes when you're in a tank. And also when I did an overflight of the cities nearby, they could use a little more detail. I mean, I know, excuse me, that the main detailed area is in the actual battlefield part of the map, but it still could be improved. But yeah, all in all, I really like the cargo map, and I think it's going to be a great success and have a lot of nice potential. And so, as you'll see here, I'll take off from the airfield. And by the way, sorry, I keep jumping to different subjects. I really wish War Thunder could implement more airfields like this. Like, make, like, full-sized Air Force bases. Even if they're copy-pasted ones. I don't care. I mean, just playing on this little fictional airfield made me feel like I was at a legit Air Force base. Because I grew up near an Air Force base in Northwest Texas where they had the B-1 Lancers in Abilene. Let me tell you, I remember as a kid seeing those B-1 Lancers taking off, kicking into full afterburner, and then sweeping their wings. I thought that was just so amazing and so cool. Good memories. But the next thing I want to talk about, as you'll soon see in a moment, not too long ago, when I was in a hike for the F-4 Phantom, I decided to play out the T2, and our team got kicked. So I was like, well, let me try to land, and maybe I can then leave the battle. And then, what do you think happens? I totally fail at the carrier landing. I will admit, I was coming in a little too fast, but I thought the carrier hook could save me. But without further ado, I'm going to give it a try in the F-4 Phantom. So therefore, cue the theme music. And sorry, Iron, but I just had to use this music. Fly's done it, so I have to do it. So let's see how we do when landing the Phantom on the carrier. This is going to be nuts. Especially considering that the Phantom was meant to land on carriers like the USS Forrestal, where they were modernized for Mach 2 jets. So let's see how this goes. Oh. Okay, I did use the cannons to help, but hey, I didn't fly off the carrier. Let's give it another go. This time I'll come in much faster than I probably would in real life. So let's see what happens here. I'm almost about to rip off my gear at this speed. And yeah, I made it. Check. Let's come in even faster. I have a feeling I'm probably gonna rip my gear here, but we'll see what happens. Whoa. Oh my gosh. Even with the gear ripping off, I still landed safely. Let's try that again. Oh man. Okay, here we go. Everything looks good. Come in a little faster. Try to. Oh. Once again. I don't know if they fixed the carrier landing thing or if the F-4 just really is that good at landing on carriers than the Japanese T2. Woo! That was fun. And now for the final test. See how fast we can go, or how high we can climb from 0, well, less than 1,000 feet, all the way up to as far as we can go before stalling. Alrighty. This has been an amazing playthrough on the dev server with the F-4 Phantom. I'm definitely hyped and looking forward to buying it when it is released. I have my gold saved. I'm basically going to say, shut up and take my money! So the last thing I want to briefly talk about is the easy anti-cheat that everyone's freaking out about. And at first I was like, why? I mean, we've already played it in some other games, like Cuisine Royale. I'm used to it. But then I found out some people were concerned, like, oh, what if I use a user skin, a custom hanger, a custom mission, and I get banned? And I'm like, okay, that's not going to happen because those are supported. But then people are like, what about sound mods? What about this or that? And I was like, well, don't use sound mods. I mean, they're not officially supported anyway. So basically, why take the risk? I mean, they're already updating the new sound engine, so there's that to look forward to. But then at the same time, there are some more reasonable concerns, like, you know, privacy, since I don't know all the details, but it seems like the company that does Easy Anti-Cheat has connections with China, and you all know the details with that, the surveillance, whatnot. I'm not going to get into that, because that's a bunch of mumbo-jumbo that if I were to talk even a little bit about it, we'd be here all day. But just for conclusion, F-4 Phantom, I'm really going for it, and I'll get the MiG-21 later on, but F-4 Phantom is my #1 priority. So yeah, Anyway, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. I'm definitely glad at being back and making these videos. I'll make a detailed comment in the description, the comments below, explaining my absence because I'm out of time. But be sure to check that out, and it'll hopefully answer questions you may have about my recent inactivity. But anyway, that is it for today's video. Have a fantastic, great day. Stay safe. See you when the patch drops. Or in the next dev server. Who knows? But anyway, oh my gosh. See you next time. Peace out.